Hey, this is Julianne from Cary Quilting. Today is Work From Home Wednesday, and I'm going to talk to you today about English paper piecing. Like I said last week, I like to do all kinds of quilting, and English paper piecing is no exception. This is a very meditative version of quilting. It doesn't require any machines. It's silent. You can take it anywhere. I've English paper pieced on airplanes and trains and in cars, vacationing, all over the place. So I want to show you some of the things that you can make with paper piecing, English paper piecing, and then I want to show you the actual techniques involved and some tools I like to use when I'm doing it. So this one is called Heartbreaker by Libs Elliott. All of this is English paper piece, so it's all pieced by hand, and then I quilted it by machine. Each heart here has 1, 2, 3 pieces. So if you look closely, you can see 2 pieces here and then 1 kind of kite-shaped piece, and then these hexagons work around them as background. So that's one version of English paper piecing. This is another project I'm currently working on called Pollinate by the Night Quilter. This is one small piece of a huge quilt. This is one of those multi-year projects, but I wanted to show you this one because on the back you can see the actual paper that's been used to create the shapes, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a few minutes. You can see some of these papers are starting to pop out, but basically you wrap the paper with fabric, and that's how you create the shape that you then sew to your neck shape. So all of this is also hand sewn. And then the next piece I want to show you is just basic hexagons. This is kind of the most popular version of English paper piecing. Because with hexagons you can make just a huge variety of shapes. So this is again one that I made several years ago, actually mostly at my in-laws' house. And here you can see the back side. The nice thing about paper piecing with the same shape over and over is once you have surrounded a shape, you can pull that paper out and reuse it. So in this piece, you'll see the only papers are the ones on the very outside edge of the project, because I've been able to pull those papers out and reuse them over and over. That's why they look a little wrinkly and crinkly, because they have been used several times. So that being said, I want to show you how to get started with English paper piecing. I have some things kind of set up over here for you. And while I'm doing that, I'll be demonstrating the tools that I like to use while I am doing this project. So the first thing I like to do is obviously cut out your fabric. And again, for that, I like the Olfa 28mm cutter because I can cut really specific designs. So you're gonna take whatever fabric you like, and I'm trying to center that little pig, and lay down your paper. These paper piecing packs, let me find that. You can buy them in packs of 100, lots of different sizes. It's kind of like a cardboard piece of paper, so it's a little stiffer than a regular piece of paper and allows you to fold your fabric around it. And we have lots of these in many sizes in the shop. So you take your paper, you put it down on your fabric, and then you cut out the fabric roughly 1/4 inch around the edges. And this is the fabric I cut that from. And you see it's not perfect, but perfect doesn't really matter so much in the cutting phase. The next step I do, and this can be done with thread if you want to thread based your projects, but I find glue is much, much faster. This is the Sue Daily fabric glue pen. I like this glue because it dries really fast. So as soon as I'm done gluing this down, it's already ready for use in my project. So I'm going to put a little dab of glue right in the middle just to hold my fabric in place while I'm folding. And then I'm going to just start drawing glue around the edges. And then those edges that I've glued, I'm going to fold over. So there I put down 3 glue lines, so I'm going to fold 3 sides. Next, I'm going to do the next 3 sides. And you just take your fabric and fold it right over that paper, and fold right over the paper, and then fold again. And now this piece is ready for sewing. So I'll put my glue tip back on, and those fabric glue pens also come with refills. So once you've used up a stick of glue, these guys literally drop right into that pen, so you can keep going. So we do have the glue pen and the glue pen refills at the shop. The next step, after you have secured your fabric to your paper, and again, these are just more versions of that paper that came out of the paper piecing bag, you're going to put them together. So I love Wonder Clips for this reason. Last week I talked about Wonder Clips and how useful they were. Wonder Clip helps to hold all this together, and you don't have to try to jam a pin through 2 layers of fabric and 2 layers of cardstock. So using this Wonder Clip, I can clip these two together. Excuse me. I can clip these two together so they're ready for sewing, and I don't have to physically hold them together. Wonder Clips come in lots of different sizes, lots of different packages. We have a bunch, we have a few, we have lots of different colors. So Wonder Clips are really handy for this project. They're also really handy for your standard foundation piecing or paper piecing, which I'll talk about on another day. So the next thing I'm going to do is use needle and thread to whip stitch this seam together. So I'm going to show you this. Where's my thimble? And then I'm going to show you the tools I use for that. So I literally just push that needle through, catch that thread. The thread's catching around the edges, and then go again. Push the needle through. And you do have to sew these with really small and really frequent stitches, because you don't want to sew through the paper, and you also don't want your integrity of stitches to come apart. So once you're done with your project, it's going to hold together really well. And so I'm just going to sew this one line, and then once that line is done, I would open this up, and these are now sewn together. You can see the stitches I just made are now holding these two pieces together. So pretty simple. You just keep doing that over and over and over until you have a project that is the size that you like. So back to stitching. I do use a thimble because the end of that needle is pretty sharp. This is the thimble I like because it has a really squishy, I'll show you this. It's really squishy. It's kind of like soft squishy rubber, so it doesn't make your finger, some thimbles can actually misshape your fingernail. It doesn't misshape your fingernail. It stays on really well. It doesn't fall off. So these are my favorite thimbles. They come in 3 sizes. And the handy thing is you can actually stick your finger through that hole to decide what size is right for you. Then when we get to sewing with the needle and thread, I like to use the John James Quilting Needles. A lot of needles will work. These just happen to be ones that I enjoy using. And then I always use this needle threader because I am a woman of a certain age with glasses, and I can't always see to thread my needle. So this is a needle threader and a base, which we sell both of. This is the base, and the needle threader's around here somewhere. One right here. And this is so simple to use. It works 9 times out of 10. You drop your needle in, you take your thread, drop your thread in, push the button, and now your needle is threaded. And it even has a cutter on it right here, so you're ready to go. Do you guys want to see that one more time? I'll show you one more time. You drop your needle with the eye down into the hole, take your thread and drop it right there, push the button, and your needle is threaded. And then again, there's your cutter, go cutter, so you're ready to sew. So we really love these needle threaders. I also really love these bases. They come with a spindle so that you can put your thread right on it, so you always have everything in one spot. I think the one drawback to the needle threader by itself is that it tends to kind of fall over because the base is a little small. These bases actually come with 3M double-sided sticky tape, so you stick your cutter right down to the base. Very firm, very solid. It works really well. What else do I have in my bag? The only other thing I want to mention is these are really sharp and really great tiny little scissors that can go in your travel bag for when you're taking this on the road. And this is the bag that I actually use to keep all of my stuff in. This is called the Sew It Tote, or I guess this is not a tote, this is a smaller version. But we also have these in the shop. These are made of 95% recycled material, $7.99, a really cute way to store and move around with your paper piecing. So just a couple other things to show you real quick. This is a tiny version, and this one has been thread basted. So this wasn't stuck down with glue, it was thread basted. So in this situation, if you're thread basting, you just remove the threads when you finish a round. And then this is an example of how you can fussy cut fabrics to get really interesting designs. And once it is put together, you want to twirl that inside seam. So the backs are always really interesting to look at too. So that's my very quick primer on how to do English paper piecing and the tools I like for it. I'll link all of these underneath these videos, and I appreciate you watching today.